Hello, everyone who is here so far.
Hey, y'all. I was looking at a quote because I know me and Laura talked about a certain quote from this book back in December when I read it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our introductions while people are coming in. I'll go first. I'm Cozy Jess. I have a YouTube channel that I upload on every Saturday at noon, reading vlogs, videos just talking about books, kind of like we're doing here. And then I also have Instagram where I try to post pictures that look good, and they don't look good all together, like on my grid. Individually, they look great. But yeah, so Bookstagram and BookTube, that's what I do.
I'm ladytartan. I lurk a lot, mostly. I am the member of the group that always has ideas of things to post and even goes so far as to do them, and then I don't post them. But I do enjoy lurking and talking to people and enjoying other people's art, and maybe one day I will do the same.
We'll get you there.
For now, I am just mostly providing Muppet casting for anything we talk about.
It's small steps like that.
Yeah.
It really is. Lead to world domination by Lady Tartan.
One Muppet at a time.
All right, I'm Tiny Sun. I am the Bone Witch of the group. I make all the graphics. You guys help me out for sure, but I do the basics. And right now I'm actually uploading our slides for our discussion tonight. If I seem really, really tired, I just got in from the wind and the cold of my back patio, so I'm a little tired. And I'm just an artist. I do graphic art for this, and I like to crochet and do other things. So yeah, and Kaylee is my sister, and we are currently waiting on her. Haha, I see her.
Okay, yeah, she just popped in.
Perfect timing.
Yay.
Hi, everybody. Hold on. Let me expand the screen.
Hi, Ashley.
Right. I am putting the last slide in real fast. Hold on. Kaylee, whenever you're ready, you can introduce yourself.
Awesome. And you all can hear me okay, right?
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah. Kinda. Yeah.
Cool. What was that kinda? Yeah.
It's acceptable. It's acceptable.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hold on. Is that better?
Say something?
Something. Anything.
It kind of sounds the same.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It was like my
but
volume.
It's not bad.
Okay.
Y'all let us know in the chat if you can hear Kaylee.
Okay, cool. Sorry, guys.
No, it's good. I think my volume's turned down too. Okay. Go ahead. Introduce us, Kaylee, or introduce yourself.
Hi. I'm Kaylee of Kaylee Creates.
You want to be a part of this?
I'm a multimedia horror artist that about a year ago fell super hard into horror books thanks to I will affectionately call them my wonderful, wonderful spooky moms over at Nightworms, Sadie, Mother Horror Hartman, and Ashley, Spookish Mommy. And it led me down the path to become the bookish, spooky artist that y'all know. And in that journey, I was like, I like talking. I like talking a lot and running my mouth a lot. And I would, at like 3 o'clock in the morning, reach out to almost all of these lovely people and a good couple more in a couple of other book groups that I was in. And I was like, have you read this yet? Have you read this? I'm like, And I realized one day, I was like, why don't I make a space for us, my child? Why don't you go? You can go find, Dad can find your pants. I promise. Yep. Love that for all of us. And so I curated, with the help of all of these lovely people, a wonderful place for us to come and read books and chat together. So we're not screaming into the void at 3 a.m. And I had a place to help keep my artistic endeavors consistent. So that's a little bit about me and why my little taggy tag says head ghoul.
Yeah, y'all go buy the stickers if you like My Best Friend's Exorcism. I don't have all the stickers in here anymore the way that Page of Bones does, but Kindle stickers.
Anytime people put them in their Kindle, and it is.
That's the way to go. If y'all need Kindle stickers, hit up Kaylee Creates on Etsy. That's the place to be. Sorry.
I got the green screen on, you can't tell.
I know.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry.
I'm like looking at my laptop. I'll show you guys my laptop because I have not just my stickers, but I have we got
all the stickers.
Books in the freezer. I'm like repping over here some of our past homies. We got some books in the freezer up here. We've got Angela. We got some Frostbite. Who else do I have? Oh yeah, there's my bibliophile over in the corner over yonder. There's some other goodies, yeah. Some Jolly Ollie. Oh, that one's mine. That one's a discontinued design that I don't have out anymore. Maggie, that is Slug Nolan, who did Treehouse Trash Can Bug Bite. Stan her. Yeah, so love that. Thanks, guys. But yeah, welcome to the Double Feature Creature Crypt presents Vampires of El Norte.
Oh, that was me.
I'm posting about it. I'm posting the link. I had to open YouTube.
Thank you. I was running a little late today because my husband and I have been working on the patio all afternoon, like I have told you guys. And I was literally at 6 o'clock screwing in a plant hanger. And it took a little longer than I anticipated. So by 6:15, I was luckily at my computer and downloading all the slides and quickly uploading them and letting you guys into StreamYard really, really quickly. With that being said, I do not have the document ready for the discussion questions. So if you guys want access to that, it will be much later, probably after the discussion and maybe posted in the Discord tomorrow, if not tonight. Things have just been crazy and hectic for the past week and a half, and I've been working more than I normally do, so I hadn't had the opportunity to work on it yet. So if anyone
with that,
I'm so sorry.
And with that, I also wanted to say thank you, everyone, for being flexible and moving everything to Tuesday today. My daughter ended up having to go to the urgent care twice over the last few days. So I appreciate everyone being flexible and working with us, and it means a lot. So I know that is not the usual case. We have worked very hard to maintain a new platform and consistency for you guys, and she heard herself summoned.
Absolutely. And more people can watch this later on. If you're watching this later, thank you for coming to our YouTube channel and watching. Don't forget to subscribe and get notifications on so that Anytime we go live, you'll be notified on your phone or iPad or whatever, and you could be involved in the discussion. So we're very excited about that.
Also, with the YouTube, if you missed any of our past discussions, all of them that we have done since December, which is only 2 and now 3, are posted. And they have sections, so if there's a particular thing that you're looking for, or you don't have time to see all of it, but you're really interested on a particular thought, you can go read the sections and click on your favorite one that intrigues you the most. Yes, I spend way too much time reviewing all of our videos, so it would mean the world to me if you went and gave that a check out and see if you like that. That is something that we will be doing moving forward to just help navigate the discussions a little bit better.
Tiny Sun is making the YouTube channel amazing. It's going to be so organized and everything. So leave us a comment after the live as well. That helps our engagement. You know, going live helps, but also after it's uploaded, liking and commenting also helps it get out there for other people who have read this book and might be interested in this sort of discussion.
And since he seems determined to introduce himself, this is Peepers.
Peeper.
I love him.
I would love to say he will be more polite, but it would be a lie.
True.
It's okay. His butt will be there, and you'll be discussing colonialism and stuff. We won't even see you. It'll just be Peeper's butt.
You know, that's a tall order for a cat discussing colonialism.
He is a snowshoe Siamese, so
Ooh, sophisticated.
he may have some thoughts. Yeah.
I want everyone to know every so often my face gets like really anxious because it's super windy outside where I live, and the window behind me, because I rearranged my office, it will creak. And all of a sudden I will be very scared. So I am so sorry if randomly I have like the wrong reaction, the wrong face.
All good. I'm living in a windy Tornado Alley place, so I feel you. And with that, let's start discussing Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas.
Yes.
Yay.
Are we saving ratings for the end again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Kaylee, message, or did you already get Kaylee's rating, Kinsey?
No, I did not. Kaylee, what did
Did you
you
pull
rate the book?
On your story graph, it was a 5.
Was it a 5 on my story graph?
I was gonna say send it in the chat.
Preview.
Yeah, that's a spoiler for the end of the video because so far only Kaylee knows, or only Kinsey knows everybody's rating up here.
Was 1 out of 4. What will the other 3 of us think?
Basically, I'm the one with all the answers and not enough kudos to let you guys in. Mwahahaha.
Kinsey
I did
knows
not.
all and
Lady
sees
Tartan's a
all.
liar.
That's what it said.
Text me. Please.
Got receipts. No, it didn't.
I'm screenshotting this.
Anyway, full disclosure, I listened to the audiobook version of this book. I remember liking it, but if you ask me for certain things that I know we're going to discuss in the slides, I cannot for the life of me remember what has happened in this book. I remember enjoying it and liking it and really loving the character dynamic between the two of them. But if you ask me certain things, I will be like, did I read this book?
That's okay. That's okay. I'm excited.
I feel like to start, we just have to acknowledge how gorgeous that cover is.
Yeah, scoot up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just, beautiful.
I like that it kind of looks similar to her other one, the Hacienda.
Yeah, it does. It
has that similar vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
I don't own Vampires yet.
I packed it because I'm an idiot. I'm moving right now, and So I apparently accidentally packed the one book I actually need at this very moment.
That's how it'll happen.
Yep.
It's okay. I put it up and forgot my thing was mirrored and was like, why is it in Spanish? And that's how my day's going. I was like, what
Look
are
at them. They
words?
look like sisters, though.
They do.
They do. Straight up look, oh my God, they do. She's like,
Like,
hey, girl. And you're
yeah.
just
They're
like,
gorgeous.
I still need to read this one, but yeah, another time.
I need to read The Hacienda too. I need to read it too.
I love being in a book club, multimedia club with you guys because you guys will always talk about these books and I will never know what you guys are talking about. I read the same things that you do, but I have not enough time.
It's the best place for recommendations. Is a bunch of bookish people talking about a book. All these other books will come up. Reading.
I think my favorite thing about the cover art is the lightning bolt.
It's
I'm
amazing.
gonna be honest, because it's not like an annoying color. It works with all three of the main colors. There's like a little bit of yellow, a little bit of tinge of blue and red, and I like it a lot.
I love it.
And this is when we tell you all that we actually didn't read the book. We just made it to the front cover, and it's been a great discussion, guys. All right, good night.
Yeah, just the
Now
cover.
we get into color theory of
Okay, if we're gonna talk about shame,
I do joke, actually. I joke, but I do actually have something to say about color later.
yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Oh.
It does kind of give me like a Texas sunset vibe. Like literally the sky looked like that yesterday. And the lightning bolt and everything. It's just, it's so perfect.
Weirdly makes me
I will
homesick.
say, to those, okay, there's two things. One, I feel like we need to put it in the links of the, if we can, we need to make sure we put these as like additional, like in podcasts when they're like show notes. Two things, if you want additional fun information, I highly recommend to listen to Talking Scared podcast episode with this. Highly recommend. And then Jess sent me something from Audible, the Audible interview.
Okay, yeah. I'll send that
to
to you.
More Black.
Oh yes, I forget. She did do an interview.
Agatha from She Wore Black and Isabel Cañas have, like, they share some brain cells, so it is delightful to hear them talk about. And she's been on for both books, The Hacienda and Vampires of El Norte. It's delightful to hear them discuss it together because it's very good.
And I will say, because I think we all are a bit of, like, we are all on the horromance train a bit. Like we're all like,
find it.
Oh, like we're all a bit like, we're here for it. Yes, make it happen. She Wore Black, definitely, I think, is a big pioneer of that train. I definitely think she is either throwing coals to keep it going, or she is definitely pulling the, oh my God, we lost Laura. Or she is definitely conducting that to the place we need to go. And
I think it's so different from anything that I've ever read. And like I said, it hit a very niche button in my brain when I needed romance, but all I was reading was horror.
I feel so bad. What happened to you, Laura? You're summoned to the bird again.
Oh, no. It just, something refreshed and it went away, and I was like, oh.
I will say, now that I am out of the bird, it's made me feel a little bit better, because I kept having to touch, I felt like I kept having to touch my head, because I was like, what is on this? What is? And I kept realizing, oh, it's the StreamYard logo. That's my brain cell. But where I was going when I mentioned when we were talking about the cover and when we mentioned Talking Scared, Isabel Cañas mentions how on the cover there's actually the cactuses that are on the cover actually aren't in Texas in this time period at all. Yeah, I was like, what?
It's giving paper towns.
I love it. I love fun anachronisms like that, like fun little just like nuggets of info, especially as an artist, because you're like, I just put a cactus, like aesthetics. And
Well,
like,
there
all of a
also
sudden,
weren't there also weren't vampires.
True.
I mean, that I think depends on what your definition of vampire is, and that I will tell you for the next few months is going to be a hot topic.
Okay,
I say the next few months.
Ashley has said that Book Riot had a horror romance recommendations article this week.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
gonna search that up, and we're gonna have to share that link because
They
I feel like
Let
that has
me,
been our vibe this month with this
Yeah.
book.
Can you look it up and give us the list like here and now? Just read from it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you because I saw it on Threads. If somebody else doesn't find it before I do,
It's a race.
This is from November. 9 horror books with romance at heart.
Was it
What
Isabel?
is Horromance?
I was like, did Isabel Cañas
I found
share it this morning?
Okay, tell us, Laura.
Give us your knowledge.
Well, it's, let's see, I'm skimming. Primarily associated with romance. Ooh.
I will say, for anyone who doesn't know the paper towns, when map makers make maps, they put in their like signature, and they'll just put a made-up town somewhere. That way, they know if someone copied their map.
Copy.
Yeah.
Wait, is the Book Riot one the one Heart Haunt and Havoc is on?
Yeah.
Yep, I just sent it. I just sent it to the
separated
to our
into like
chat.
3 different categories. So
I just sent it to the Instagram chat, so somebody because I found it on my phone and
I feel like there's some really great
technologically
ones on here. There's actually a past double feature Creature Crypt book, Salt Grows Heavy, by Cassandra Call.
That was
our test pilot.
The test pilot book.
It was so good.
The Elder DSC.
Oh, the Hacienda. Yeah, so this is a really great list. Slewfoot by Brom. I want to read it. Okay, yeah, that's a great list, Ashley. Thank you.
I'm scrolling on my phone. My phone is just charging and it's hanging. So
Her Soul to Take.
Her Soul to Take on my that's on my
I don't know if you'll like that one, Kaylee.
Oh my god.
That says a lot, actually. That says a lot.
It's honestly the story's really good. But the
Does it have some of my triggers?
Heavy.
Well, that could be a hit or miss. Okay. It depends. Depends.
anyway, do we want to get into our actual discussion?
Yes.
We do. To keep those of us aligned, you uploaded the questions, right?
Yeah.
On the screen, right?
Yeah, I have them.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you have the Google the Google Doc?
No.
By chance?
No. I said that earlier.
Okay, cool.
It'll be available like tomorrow for people who are interested, and it'll be posted in Discord like it normally is.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, cool. I will rely on the PowerPoint.
Also, a huge shout out to both Kaylee and Laura this time, because I think everyone was really busy during this month, and you guys, it's all on you. These discussion questions came from both of you.
Oh.
It is your time to shine.
Oh my god, we need like you know how children have like responsibility charts, and like in elementary school you get like the little star charts for doing a good job?
Yes.
A star.
I'm going to give you a
We need-
demerit every time there's not a question included from you.
Every time you have to tag us to answer a question you ask.
Demerit. No one's getting an icy this morning. No. It's fine.
Oh, we could cash them in for prizes.
Right? All right.
That's how
we're
we
gonna
get
go
to
the
nominate
first
our
one.
books.
Horror or not, defend your stance.
Okay.
You were back in the nick of time, Jess.
No, I was listening. So who's going first?
It's both. I like horror romance. Okay, I grew up with Vampire Kisses. I read Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter and Pride and Prejudice. Yes, they're all Seth Grahame-Smith books, but that's fine. I sometimes want to stay in my main reading genre, which is horror, because Kaylee, I have read all of the books that you have ever recommended to me, and they're all in this genre. But sometimes I like my subgenre, and it's good, and it wasn't annoying, and it worked in its favor. And I really have a lot of thoughts on how well it worked for this book in particular. Now someone else talk.
Okay, I don't know, because this is like one of those questions that is hard for me to answer, because horror, does that mean scary? I'm not scared by most of the horror books that I read. They don't scare me. Now, if I was watching them, that would be different, because I'm a very visual person. I don't watch scary movies ever. I don't really movies, but I don't watch scary movies because I am very easily scared visually. The Vampire Diaries scared me. But what's the Vampire Diaries? It's not a horror. It's a supernatural drama. And so like Vampires of El Norte is kind of like a supernatural drama romance to me. Like it kind of has that similar vibe. But then again, none of the books I read would be horror if I really like sat and thought about it. Because like reading words or being told a story doesn't scare me as much as visually seeing someone's head get ripped off or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And I also think it's really interesting that this is a particular question that we have, because horror or not, even though it deals with romance, it also deals with historical fiction. And one of the other things that I grew up reading was historical fiction, as Kaylee can definitely attest, and how annoying that got for everyone else.
It only was annoying on the 18th Titanic book.
I mean, it's a historical romance. Let's just say that.
Right.
Actually, it's probably an autobiography. I think this really happened because I want to believe it, because I love Nena and Nestor so much.
Right.
I want to believe Nestor exists, so it was a memoir.
A man written by a woman that we want to exist.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so thankful that neither one of them were like the most annoying character you could ever read. There were some times where you were like, why?
Nena makes some poor choices.
A little bit, but like,
Merle makes some poor choices.
I stand her being so mad and pissed. I will always stand that about Nena. But like, they're characters. They're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. And if they are, they're just flat and boring.
Yeah.
Also, I love Sydney's comment here. Hard relate, Jess. I was so worried about getting into horror books because I'm not a horror movie person. And as someone who is like, yeah, I do this horror club with you guys to like people in my locale, they automatically assume the same thing that everyone else does, that it's not possible that you could enjoy it in any other capacity, because we all know one version of it, i.e. movies.
And
I
so
think that's a great segue, because I think this question is so hard to answer, and I think it's a reason that everyone's been so passionate about it is because horror is personal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's where, because I sent earlier in the chat, that's why I was like, ooh, yes. I know I had my thoughts on that. I had said horror isn't exactly the same to everyone, right? Like, it's a big thing with the genre itself. If you, the second you try to give it an expectation, right? Like the second you try to put expectations on the horror genre itself, you denote its value a bit. You begin to diminish its ability to perform. It's like when you're a kid and you're afraid of the closet or you're afraid of what's under the bed. You're afraid because you don't know what it is. You're too scared to get up and look. You're too scared to look. You have no idea what that is. You don't know what the other is. And the second somebody's like, oh, the second somebody puts a label to it, the second somebody's like, oh, it's the boogeyman. Oh, it's El Cuco. Like, you're like, suddenly the fear takes a shape and it's no longer as scary as it was. It's not saying that it's no longer spooky. It's not saying that it's no longer scary. It's not saying that it's no longer horror, right? Like, oh, we gave it, like, it is a vampire. It is a vampire novel. We still haven't touched on that yet. We're still getting there. We're still getting there. That is a subject. But you've labeled it, right? This is this form of this genre. And I feel like when a lot of people put those expectations on it, suddenly it changes. You've put too much preconceived ideas into it of what you've expected it to become, that it loses a bit of value because you're like, oh, well, if it's just the boogeyman, oh, well, if it's just vampires, right? You're like, oh, if it's vampires, then I'm going to be getting Dracula, or I'm going to be getting Twilight, or I'm going to be getting, like, there is a certain connotation when you label.
Which then that connotation is personal to cultures, to individual
and
people.
Your experience.
So it's like layering upon expectations upon expectations.
Yes, because what? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What's scary for me as a, I mean, let's be real. What's scary for me as a white woman isn't going to be the same kind of experience as a whole bunch of other people. Like, it's just not. So I kind of love looking at it through different lenses and being like, wait a second, hold on.
And I think a very practical way to think about that too is I'm sure we've all gone book shopping at some point. Or maybe,
I will always
Wait, what is a bookstore? I only know what Amazon is. What's a bookstore?
But
I've only ever seen the Scholastic Book Fair.
Right? Book.
I've only shopped at Daddy Bezos.
What? I don't have a startling number of rewards at Barnes & Noble. But generally, sometimes you'll find something you go in like, this is a horror book. You make a beeline for the horror section, but it's not there. Maybe it's been shelved in fantasy or mystery or general fiction, because I think horror does straddle so many boundaries with what it's doing. And so they get filed in other places too.
Oh, this reminds me of how I went to my Barnes & Noble in like an hour away from where I live. I live out in the middle of nowhere, guys, okay? I no longer live in Houston. I'm sad. But on my way out of this Barnes & Noble, I had noticed that they put the mystery section at the beginning of the store. And I got really, really mad because I haven't read Silver Nitrate, but it was in this section. I was like, that's not supposed to be there. Like, based on everything that I've seen on Instagram and heard from you guys, I'm like, one of these things might not be like the others.
I think the perfect example of this is like most women can relate that something like the Margaret Atwood Handmaid's Tale, that's a horror, right? Even though it's technically not a horror, but that's a very scary reality.
It is horrific.
Yes, exactly. So like that type of book to me, I don't read because I'm scared of it. So like that's kind of like where it kind of comes from, like the personalness of horror and what is scary. Whereas, you know, the genre of horror might not scare the individual, but like, you know, on a whole, many people would find it scary.
Are we ready to move on to the next question?
Absolutely.
Yes.
What did the class divide bring to the story other than the star-crossed lovers trope? We all love Romeo and Juliet. We get that. You good?
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know if I love Romeo and Juliet.
We love to hate Romeo. Come on.
Romeo and Juliet themselves, but not the point. It's fine. Not the place.
Do I love Baz Luhrmann, Romeo and Juliet? Absolutely.
I've never seen it, but like the cultural effect that this old ass play is still living on, like that sort of, we love them. Because Rosalind, I've seen that and I love that show or that movie.
Good.
Such a good movie. So yeah, I think that, I don't know, I don't really remember that much about the class divide since it's been a while since I've read it. But I think, you know, it's important, and probably Isabel in the back of her mind had a bit of that Romeo, Juliet, like how to get this propelled. I just remember in the beginning, the whenever she was teaching him to read, like stuff like that, it was just so cute and so pure. And like this, you know, privileged person was teaching someone who, you know, society might deem as less worthy, and just so cute.
Yeah. And I think this question ties in a lot with the things we're probably going to talk about involving.
I know. I was like, I don't want to talk about this yet.
But this probably. Don't want to talk about it now.
Can we come back to this one after we talk?
It's like this is more like an umbrella question, and here's a bunch of others. I thought of a bad question. I think it also it was that vehicle for the historical fiction. We get to see that not only are Nena and Nestor from very different and kept separate parts of the ranchero, like even though they essentially live on the same thing, like they at one point were schooled together because there weren't a ton of children and it was efficient to do it that way. But the things like, like Jess said, like her teaching him to read because it wasn't deemed necessary, because he was obviously going to partake in manual labor, so why would he need to read? And it was very practical, and that at a certain age, when Nena should start behaving like a proper lady within her class and start, thinking about her, of course, only value being that of who she can marry. It was
the value of the snatch.
Appropriate for her to be playing with a lower class boy.
I had to take so many breaks because of just the intense emotion and feelings that Nena's parents had about everything regarding her in this regard, because it infuriated me so much, because it's like, yes, for a large portion of history, that's how women were viewed and valued. And I really love that Isabel included that, but man, did it make my blood boil. And I'm really glad that the ending was the way that it was, but I was really upset that her parents were not involved when they did have their ceremony. And, it's just, it kind of like, in a way, gave the story, for at least myself, more of an important stance.
Did we mention at the beginning there will be spoilers?
It's a book discussion,
I'm gonna.
kid.
Oh,
I know
say
it's
something
implied,
here.
but did we explicitly
I'm gonna
say,
say something
hey,
here.
we're going to talk
front and
about things
center.
that happen in this book?
We can
This
put
is
had
the
a funeral.
spoiler zone.
we
No one
can put
knows.
it in the time in the description. Because
That makes sense, yeah.
yeah.
I was
This is a
genuinely
spoiler
asking.
zone.
I wasn't making a smart ass comment.
No, I get
Yeah. If you've made it to
No,
this
I agree.
point,
And I think that was what was so interesting about Nena too, is that her rebellion from her status, her society prescribed status, wasn't that she wanted to run away and be an actress or singer or something. Like, she genuinely wanted to help with the land, and she had good ideas, and so she would have to express that through her brothers or other
And
ways.
she wanted to stay within her community and actually help
Yeah.
the community. And that's one thing that I really, really loved about Nena was that, yeah, I don't have to marry. That's like the most boring thing and useless thing for me to do. Nah, I want to learn how to take care of other people and make them feel comfortable with me taking care of them and healing them from cysto and stuff like that. And, you know, midwifery and, you know, everything that comes from this time period. And it really hurt when people just didn't trust her and she had her own thoughts about that. I started to actually cry during that because that broke me.
Yeah. And I think it's part of, like, she had so much more to offer. Like, not only did she have the desire to do these things, she had the talent. Like, I can't remember her name now, but wanted to train her as her successor, basically.
Abuela.
oh, her
Yeah,
abuelita.
the abuelita.
Yeah.
So she also had the talent. She had so much more to give than just getting married to someone, producing babies, and being quiet. And I think that makes a lot of her when she does make those kind of dumb decisions or rash things, or she just says what she feels without thinking about the fact that it's probably a really hurtful thing to say. It's that she's been kept down and hasn't been let, like, not just on a sort of soul heart level, but her intellect has been kept down. And
She's not only been kept down, she's been misled and misdirected.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
She's been
it hasn't
intentionally
been a passive
misled
thing.
and
It's been an
misdirected.
active repression and oppression of her. But yeah, I think the class divide definitely highlights a lot of things within the individual characters as well as together as a couple.
All right, we're going to move on to the next question.
All right.
Anyone have their version of Nena's red dress? I think this is a really good question considering we were gossiping and gawing over the cover art.
Laura, go for it. You were so excited.
I do. Like, I have so many thoughts about Nena's dress.
Spill them.
Spoiler alert. Like, obviously it's passion and love and things like that, and her like wanting to fly free with this gorgeous red dress that it would normally be a little scandalous to wear, but she wants to, just because she loves
The ankles.
Yes. But also I was looking into a little bit of color theory or color history.
Give it to us. Come on.
And the color of red specifically within kind of Mexican history, particularly cochineal was the particular shade of red that that they've kind of traced from even back to the Aztec and Mayan civilizations and how they used it from, made their dyes from like bugs and stuff. But it also means like a connection to the earth, blood, gods. And that feeds into Nena's desires and hopes as well. Like, she is connected to the earth in her very desires, which is the things I was just saying about her, but also.
And her garden that she would read in every night.
and playing in with the land and the idea of being a part of
No,
the land
but not
itself.
only
And
that.
yeah, I'm gonna let Kaylee talk about the other part, but it's about so much more than just a dress. And I guess my version, the only thing I really the thing that came to mind when I thought about it was I saw this little Christmassy movie with Emilia Clarke called I think it's called Last Christmas. But she has this freaking gorgeous, like, floofy leopard print jacket that she wears. It's like a winter coat, and I just love it so much, and I want to get one. It's not practical in Texas, but maybe one day I will get a fluffy leopard print winter coat and live my best Emilia Clarke Christmas life.
Right.
Love that for you.
Kaylee,
No?
spill your guts. Come on.
Well, the analysis part I can't spill until we talk about part
Gatekeeper.
2, Electric Boogaloo.
Well, I'll
stuff.
just say Arya's dress from Pretty Little Liars, because I just
you kill it.
I just don't even know. I wasn't even really thinking about the red dress.
Like,
The dress that I would kill to have, that would make me feel like that, would absolutely be why did I just blank on her name? I was like, her name, and then I deleted her name in my brain and was like, Goldie Hawn's daughter. And I was like, why did I just Kate
from
Hudson,
Glass Onion? Yes.
Glass Onion dress. I would
That
go
is the Kaylee dress.
I would go feral. I just need everyone to understand. I want a murder robe made out of this, like, color palette.
I also
I
want
love
one
the
of
Glass
those
Onion dress.
dressing gowns that ladies wore in old movies when they were swanning about in the evenings.
With like the fuzzy sleeves.
Yeah,
real
the big bell, fuzzy sleeves, and
Yes,
the all flowy.
Absolutely.
You can get them on
Just
Amazon
run
for
around
like,
in my apartment.
yeah. I want one so bad. It's just like not practical, but also I
Right.
don't care.
It's just the side of really not practical, but I'm like,
It's the
Oh, yeah.
opulence
Hot.
of like walking around my messy house with dishes in the sink and like fur trim,
Yes.
fur, like it's so fuzzy.
Okay,
And
Debbie.
it's sheer, completely sheer. Maybe
Walking
nothing
around
under
with a
it.
Scotch
Like
cold
I just don't know.
jar.
Just living my life.
See, I love this discussion because, like, for me, for Nena's red dress, I don't really have like a particular version that it reminds me of, because to me, I just see like the individuality of what it symbolizes.
I was
You
gonna,
know, like, yeah, there's always going to be a red dress for someone, but I feel like at a very literal level, it's all about the person who is wearing it, what it means, and what they are trying to symbolize for them. For Nena, it's breaking free of what her family wants her to do and doing what she wants to do and making her decisions. And literally the last 2 or 3 chapters of the book, she's like, we're getting married, whether you like it or not, show up or not. I don't care. I wouldn't be surprised if she got married in that red dress at this point, because it's so symbolic of that decision.
Icon status.
Icon behavior.
I love it. Yeah. I love that headcanon. Let's headcanon that.
Right.
Married in the red
Also,
dress.
it'd be so gorgeous because what they, I forgot the name of it. Sorry. But like her and Nestor, their plot of land, it was named after like wildflowers. And she herself is so much like a wildflower.
yeah.
I love that.
Did anyone highlight interesting passage or quotes that they want to talk about?
Okay, I have this quote that back when I read this in December, the only person that I knew that had read it was Laura. So, like, as soon as I read this passage, I was like, Laura, this chapter, I could not handle it. And this is just one of many. Like, this is just the one that I remember us having a discussion about. And then I think, Laura, you screenshotted it for me because I was on audio. I did not have a visual of it. And so you were like, let me send it to you. I'll read it out. His touch always awakened a part of her that wanted him everywhere at once. There were 100 ways this could go wrong, 100 paths that could lead to both of them getting hurt, 100 reasons to resist, to pull away, to say again that they could never be and they should cut their losses now. That she had been wrong to kiss him when she did, that he was right to pull away, that even though she wanted him in ways she didn't even have words for, even though there was no man she could love like she had loved him, innocently, fiercely, angrily, it could not be. But how could she with his hands tangled in her hair? It's so good because it's like, we shouldn't do this, but we love each other we love each other so much that we have to. We owe it to ourselves to try this, even if we get hurt, because we both love each other. Oh, it's so good.
It's so devastatingly romantic that I got chills when you're reading it. Like, oh, I love this quote so much. I love that passage.
Yeah. I mean, that was one. I think that was around the time that they hooked up for the first time or something. I don't remember.
I think when they were traveling back from the war front to the ranchero.
Also, this being a road trip story, love that.
Also, yeah.
Oh God, yes, love me a good one.
Like confined space. What is that called in romance? Like
there's only one bed. No,
close proximity.
The forced proximity.
Forced proximity.
That's it.
Another nod to it being so properly placed in like a romance category, like romance horror. It's so romantic.
I have two, and they are not as beautiful. I will say. I will tell you, on this train, though I appreciate and love the beauty of the romance, I was definitely here for I saw your post for a little bit. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a trend for a little bit. I can tell between our next book and something we have coming up in the works. I love a good I love me a good subversion or a good hot take on a trope or canon. And the turn that vampires are taking makes me feral. I love it so much. And two of the quotes in here that I really genuinely loved. Yeah, they aren't romance quotes, but I am the girly who's like, yeah, let's go. Was that's the wrong one. Hold on. Okay, got it. The first one is on 131. It says I think it's shortly after they leave the rancho for the first time, and they're taking Nena to go to the place before stuff starts going down for the first time. And they're like, they're talking to Old Juan, and he's like, Old Juan did not seem to care, for he continued without prompting. I was born in Guadalajara, you know. Came north looking for silver long ago. El Norte is different. Maybe you don't see it because you're from here. Something strange lives in this land. He stamped earth under the heel of his boot for emphasis. The glow of his cigarillo being lit was like an ember, burning brighter as he inhaled, then released a thin blue stream of smoke. If you live cheek to jowl with danger your whole life, you're bound to be blind to it. But I'm telling you, there are no monsters in Guadalajara. Not like here.
Literal chills. I love him.
love that passage, and I love it even more now that I finished the whole book and I went back and reread that. Absolutely
I
feral
just
for
love
that passage.
anytime someone gets to use the term like this land, like refer
Right.
to it, like not this country, this place, this
Mhm.
land. I'm like,
It
yes.
is so American because you know what they say, this land is your land. This land is our land.
I also want to use Kaylee's quote to talk about something that her and I have talked about in private conversations, and I want to make this very, very clear. I do not get into a habit of displaying my Scooby-Doo love, nor do I think it's appropriate to make connections, especially with a book such as this. But my brain
It was the white guys all along.
well, yes, my brain for some reason, because we all love the Hex Girls, right? Anytime there was a description of the vampires, anytime they said Los Cucos, or in particular in direct connection to this quote,
Wait. Is this
what?
something that ties into one of the slides in a minute?
No,
Okay. Cool.
no.
Keep going.
I conduct myself better with my relevance than you. Anyway, in direct relation to this quote, all I could think of was the Scooby-Doo movie where they are having a music festival in Australia out in the middle of the desert, and the Hex Girls are there, but the main villain was this vampire that used pyrotechnics and special effects from the concert, and stuff like that. And so the description of the vampires for me, for whatever reason, it was that vampire, and with this quote in the description of the land, because this movie for Scooby-Doo was all about the land and profits to be made off of the concert. But the other plot was Aborigines and the land, and this shouldn't even be here happening and stuff like that. So, like, the brain rot of Scooby-Doo affected me a little too hard with this
That's deep
book.
for Scooby-Doo.
Huh?
That's deep for Scooby-Doo.
It is. People sleep on Scooby-Doo.
The
People
title
really
of the
do.
movie is Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire.
Yes.
And the music festival within the film is aptly titled Vampire Rock Music Festival.
Yes.
Nice. Love it.
Right on the
Love it.
nose. You know what you're
Oh.
getting when you show up there.
Mhm.
I love it. I will say my second quote.
One of my favorite quotes is real short, so I can shoehorn
love
it
it.
in the end. My other one was the one Jess read. Like that one, we just gushed over it so much. But it was just so simple, and it described Nestor like perfectly in what had happened with him in those 9 years he and Nena were apart. He was a man of dust who served men of silver. Like, I really like that. Yeah, it just resonated with so many of the themes and overall little tidbits.
No, and it's excellent because another quote that I had really. There is a lot of ways we interact and deal with trauma, and one of the things that I really liked that Isabel Cañas did was she showed. I mean, of course, she showed that like Nena was very strong-willed, and she was very fiery, and she was very like, no, I can do this. I don't need you. It's fine. I can do it. Just go away. But it was also very clear that there was culture. Like, it was also very clear that there was respect. It was also very clear that like you are made, you are raised with certain values that are imprinted and put upon you, and it's very hard to deconstruct, right? Like, it doesn't matter how strong-willed you are. Sometimes when you get into situations, you're going to find yourself having to deconstruct or cope or whatever. It doesn't matter what the journey was. Sometimes hard, moments strike and you fall on old habits, right? And she shows this with Nena a good couple times. And in a time when you're rooting for her and Nestor the most, and I think we're back in Nena's point of view. But it was just after we finished Nestor's point of view, and he had basically been like, if she loves me, she'll go with me. When her dad's like yelling and being like, get out of here, leave. And she's like, and Nestor's like, come with me. And she's like, and all of us, I don't know about you, whatever that, I was like, you really just gonna let him go like that? Y'all just had this entire trip and this? And I highlighted a passage in Nena's point of view because I think it's a very important thing. I love horror so much because it's such a equalizing human experience. The trauma response of Freeze and Fawn, I don't think gets talked about enough. How you can be like, there's always fight or flight, right? Like, you can run away from a situation or you can combat it, right? And it's very clear that Nestor is a particular way, right? And Nena is caught between these, and she freezes and she fawns. And I loved this passage because she says, but when Papa shoved Nestor to the ground, her limbs turned. Oh, I wrote over something. Her limbs turned to her limbs turned to stone. Her body was practiced in the ways of avoiding Papa's anger. Be still, be silent, and the storm will pass on. It was a protective impulse, like a hare going still. It was the right impulse, wasn't it? Now she saw clearly. She watched the scene unfold in her mind, looping from the end back to the beginning, like a colt circling the training corral, coming upon Papa, shouting, "Are you engaged to this man?" "What? No, Papa." Surprise spoke, not her wit. It didn't matter that there wasn't a formal understanding between them. Words exchanged, rings promised. Papa was attacking Nestor, and she should have done something to stop him. Nestor was right. She was spineless, and this was the result. That was such a beautiful and succinct, like, capture of Freeze and Fawn, and how, like, she didn't want any of the actions and choices she made. And I absolutely was like, yes. So when they got back together, by the time they got back together, I was like, yeah. Instead of me being like, oh, okay, but you just let him leave. Fine. Like,
that's what we call growth in a character.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And like I said, I applaud Isabel Cañas for really taking the time to be very dynamic with it and real with it as well, especially with a character as strong as Nena. I was like, all right.
It's the first time he actually leaves. Because her whole thing was she was under the impression that he left throughout the entire book. He thought she was dead.
Right.
And no one told her. So I'm sitting here and I'm like,
right.
It's the miscommunication trope. Third act conflict. Romance.
Yeah, the third act breakup.
But then, wait, hold on. Were you saying you were saying it as in like not that I miscommunicated something, right?
No. The miscommunication trope is popular in the romance genre.
Okay, I thought I missaid something. I was like, wait, no,
just troping it up.
I was like, gotcha. Okay, I was like, wait, what did I mistake?
We're going to move on to the next question because we've spent way too much time on this one. Who do you believe ultimately are the real vampires of El Norte?
Yes,
Haley, I
baby,
love it. This one was
The
definitely
white
yours. The white
dudes,
dudes, duh.
the colonizers, fuck colonizers. That's all I'll say.
So
white dudes,
okay,
duh.
I'm gonna guide us in this question, okay? Because I have a feeling I feel like we should have organized these in a better pattern. These slides.
I didn't have time. I'm sorry.
No, not
It's
you.
okay. It's okay.
The royal we or the group we.
Yeah, the royal we. It's the royal we. It's the royal we. Like, hello. Because I'm realizing I'm like, oh wait, this was just from the discussion that we had posted. I'm like, oh, we didn't organize these like we usually do. Hold on.
What?
Hello. In this book, do vampires have bad breath? I think it would be logical. Vampires are undead and feral beings, don't you think? You
Okay,
know,
Kirby's.
I-
Little did we know the real
Hey, man.
vampires were the vampire's breath.
Yeah.
I'm
The
like,
breath is deadly. Silent
what
but
did they do
deadly.
about it?
Bro,
The
I
real
had
threat is gingivitis.
I had not even imagined this, but oh my god. Like this is not a thought that came in my head, but now that it's there,
It's making me think of like mummies waking up after their like 1,000-year slumber in paranormal, instances, and it's just dust coming out, and it must smell
Billy.
so bad.
from Hocus Pocus, Billy, when he cuts open his
Yeah.
mouth, the breath,
And the moths.
and they still wanted to get up with that.
I was
That's
thinking
true.
of the scene in White Chicks. Much better. Yours is way better. White man? No.
White man? What did they do? Nothing.
Oh, Claudia. They
Typical.
would totally have growth's breath. Yep.
Yeah.
They would.
Claudia and
Consensus.
Courtney. And Sydney, a white man. Love the New Girl reference.
So, okay, so who do you believe ultimately are the real vampires of El Norte? Yes. I mean, what is a vampire after all? No, that's actually a very good, important question, and I think it's going to set us up for
Our Saltburn discussion we're having is sometime.
Now I'm just not watching it out of stubbornness.
You're good.
Stay stubborn, Laura.
I'm not even going to tell you guys when I do watch it.
That's fine. Just send us
actually,
memes.
Laura, you're gonna watch it, and I'll know because you're gonna message me the most lit slut things you will have ever sent me, and I'll be like, I know, let's chat. Like it's, actually, it's more like, but that's a whole other conversation. And so, what is a vampire? I think this is I think that's what we have to ask first. I would like to ask the class and the chat, what do you think a vampire is?
A life sucker.
What is a vampire to you?
A life sucker. In all forms.
A life sucker?
A leech of some kind.
Yeah, leech, taking something that doesn't belong to them. The blood of another human.
Entitlement.
Yeah. Oh, fucking entitlement.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty good way of summing up.
Yeah.
The overall trope of vampires is just entitlement.
Entitlement.
I've read Dracula 3 times against my will, so.
Well, and because keep in mind, we also have Reluctant Immortals that we well, is it though? Because keep in mind, I think
vampires.
entitlement is a very gendered way to look at it, right? I feel like that's very theoretical because for those of us who read Reluctant Immortals, right, back in the yonder years,
August.
Thank you. I was like, I don't remember what month it was.
August.
Back when we read Reluctant Immortals, Who?
Anything about Lucy?
Lucy. I was like, Jane, not Jane. Jane's bestie.
I remember
No.
nothing about that book at this point, so I really could
It's
like
okay.
reread it. But
I should have mentioned in my when I introduced myself, my fatal flaw is I can read the book cover to cover, remember every plot point, and not remember a single character's name. Names, never heard of them, never read them, don't know who they are. Got to give me descriptors here. So sorry, that's my tragic flaw. It's really bad when I'm talking to authors, so they'll be like, I don't know their names. I'm so sorry you spent time on these characters and I don't know their name. My bad. I'm trash. So I feel like entitlement might be a gendered way to look at it, because if we like take Lucy into a lot of like the female vampires are like, I didn't want that. No thanks. Or there's like a lot of like, I had to, but it's not right. But yes,
I guess I was, and I think maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this might have been what Mackenzie meant too. Is when I was saying I think it's a really good way to look at it, is almost like above the idea of even gender and individual. I guess what is vampirism?
I guess because it's the entitlement to another human's life force.
Yes. I.e. Sigourney Weaver in Vamps. You're welcome.
I think that might be. We haven't talked about it yet, but I thought about it today while I was cooking in the kitchen, because that's usually when I think about. That sounded like a whole like idiom, like an analogy for something, but it wasn't. I was cooking in the kitchen, but I really was, and I was like, I think Vamps is going to be our movie pairing with. I feel like it should be our movie pairing with Carmilla. I feel like we need to chat about it, but I feel like it's finally time.
Isn't it free on YouTube?
We got to find out, but I think it might be the movie pairing for Carmilla for next month.
I know I watched it on Tubi, so
that's I feel like it might be time. Might be time for you to actually finish it, Jess.
I guess I can tell y'all in the chat right now, the reason why this is so amazing to me is because Vamps is one of my all-time favorite movies that no one has seen. Like I have had to force people to watch it because like, and it's so amazing. It's a movie about vampires dating in New York, pretty much. That's so bare bones, but I usually am the one to bring it up. But the fact that Kinsey brought it up makes me so happy.
You're welcome.
Your legacy lives on. You're leaving such a good legacy, Jess. I'm so proud.
You good?
I love this. But I think, okay, so I like vampirism, right? So it's like taking, right? It's very parasitic. It's very
even from the person it has consumed, it literally takes their life.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love that Isabel Cañas never directly calls the monsters in the Vampires of El Norte that are hurting the people. They are never called the monsters. Like they are never called the vampires.
Yeah.
They're referred to as El Cuco. They're referred to as like different like boogeyman monster nomenclatures, but they're never referred to as vampires, right? And that's why like Nena can still walk in the day. Nena can still do all this other stuff, right? Like she dies, but she doesn't, right?
Quick side note, when Isabel Cañas' sister read this for the first time, she said, so they're chupacabras.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one at one point who was like, Huh?
Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Which
I'm
I
so glad
learned
somebody else-
from Talking Scared. Anyway, back to your point. Aside over.
I love
No,
it.
no, this is a good point.
Good
There's no
recommendation.
goats. They couldn't get away with chupacabras. They had to think of something that was like adjacent, but still the same thing.
Chupacabra adjacent.
I love
Ah.
that.
Tell
Like
me I'm
in the
wrong.
X-Files.
I feel like I should go get my daughter's bedtime book. Don't eat me, chupacabra. It's like a bonus.
Right. And I
Pairings.
will refer to these specific episodes of Futurama to have the El Chupe
I love it.
discussion.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
But no, like, and not only is she like, they're monsters, right? But she's like, they're monsters that I'm gonna make you feel sorry for, that are just as like displaced and being taken advantage of as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone not feel a little sad when you kind of realize what's happening to the monsters? And
I felt bad for them.
like, I really felt sad. And
Like I felt bad, but I felt bad that I felt bad.
I had to stop reading for a hot second. I was like, oh, we went there. And I like closed. I like,
not the
I, like,
poor
turned
little
Audible off and I,
monsters
like,
just
closed
trying
the
to
book.
survive.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I came into this for vampires and I'm leaving with Mexican Gothic level colonialism trauma. Okay.
It was fantastic. Fantastic reveal, the way it builds up. I think that she knocked it out of the park with the way that she used the vampires.
I really didn't see that coming when you realize they're kind of being used as the weapon of war.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. Because she could have just stuck with it being like all metaphorical. These vampires are,
Mm-hmm.
or even just that they are in the country while this other stuff is going on. They are on the land, but she took it that step further.
Also, I really love how, based on the description, despite for like the physical description, you're more pissed and afraid of the white guy than the actual monster.
The white guy that we are never really actually described of, by the way. We never get real description. They're like, there's just some colonialists.
Yeah. Just picture a white colonial guy. That's all.
You ever heard of a white dude? Picture him. Like,
that's
I was
true.
a little concerned that the vampire monsters had some like slave imagery attack. Yes.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Which let's
go ahead.
Let's talk about that for a second, because this is something I wanted to talk about back a couple of questions ago. Now that we've gotten to this point, and I'm very excited that we are. Remember how we talked about how like Nena's dress and that she's connected to like the color red, and then like
the earth.
She heals Shusto, and she can't seem to heal herself, right? Like she's poisoned with Shusto. She can't. She desperately wants to stay in her homeland. She wants to stay at her rancho. She wants to like be with, like, she wants her cake and she wants to eat it too. And by damn, if her daddy's gonna take it away from her and her mom's gonna make her marry off somebody to save the farm, like, no, right? Okay. All while the monsters are also trapped and enslaved. And I love how beautiful and poetic Kanya sets it up at the end, to where as they're staring across each other of the river, okay, on this so beautiful, all of a sudden you see this beautiful free monster on her land, in which she is now the reigning matriarch of, free, on this patch of wildflowers. And I was just like, oh, so we just healed the entire We healed everything. Inside and out. I love this for all of us.
It's Tafiti from Moana.
Huh.
I
We
was
were
just
totally
thinking,
caught.
like, it's really nice because you have like a certain appreciation for nature as a human being, or like your local flora and fauna, whatever, what have you. Whether you're allergic to it, i.e. Kaylee. Like, you could just appreciate it. And the fact that she was so connected and had been infected with Susto and stuff like that, and was just like, good for you. Good for you. The entire time during that chapter portion, I was like, I like this. This quells something inside me.
And Kaylee and I talked a bit about it, and I won't mention specifically why for spoiler reasons for this thing, but we thought about the video game Until Dawn in relation to the monsters, which, if you haven't played, is a fantastic horror video game. It's probably one of my favorites video games, period. But highly recommend playing that, if only for the story. Like, find a friend who can play scary games and sit next to them and watch the story, because it's really good.
Yeah.
Train of thought. But yeah, like in
But the
relation
monsters,
to the
yes.
monsters and the treatment and the who are the real monsters, and you know, do they
The monsters in this book 100%. I think it's the next slide too, because if this was my question, then the next slide I think is my question, referring to what we're talking about. Hey yo ma, hey yo tiny son, what's the next slide?
Sorry, I was briefly distracted by my weather report telling me it's raining and it should be snowing 100%. But it won't tell me when. So I'm just kind of like terrified.
Down, but I made a face that was apparently so horrendous it thumbs down bubbled.
What do you think the monsters look like? Kanyas never outright describes them as vampires, but more as Los Cucos or boogeymen. We have all talked about the vampire from the Vampire Rock, but also one that I particularly thought of as well. Kaylee, you're going to have to correct me. It's like House of Ashes, right?
She was very distracted. She missed what we were talking about. Yes, it is House of Ashes. It is House of Ashes, which is also an offshoot of the people who made Until Dawn. The people who made Until Dawn branched off. If you enjoy like horror books, period, and you enjoy horror movies, I implore you, if there is anything I can gift you in this world, okay, look at me. Please play Supermassive Studios, Until Dawn, or the Dark Anthology games. It is my gift to you.
And speaking of House of Ashes, Claudia's like, The Descent. And I'm like, spot on. Right.
Oh, no!
That movie freaks me out. Also, I had such confusion when I came over here from when I first moved over to America, because I didn't know at the time that they had changed the ending in America.
Oh yeah, y'all get the better ending, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's only like after years of people having seen this and saying it that now I think on the cut it is that ending when you watch it, but originally it didn't. And so I would talk about it with people and they'd be like, yeah, I feel like she got away. And I was like,
can you tell me what it is? Because I haven't seen The Descent since I was like maybe 10 years old and I barely remember what happens. What ending are you talking about, and how does it end in the American one? Because I don't remember.
If you haven't seen The Descent and would like to watch it, skip ahead 30 seconds.
Group of friends goes on trip.
You know, it came out in like the early 2000s. Statute of limitations on spoilers is over.
Right.
So in it, the last girl, she scrambles out, gets away from the cave, runs off to the road. Someone picks her up, and you think she's escaped.
Made it out.
But
Lives
in
a
the
happy
original ending, the
Makes
one
it
that
to
they
hospital.
showed in theaters in the UK when I saw it, is after that it like flashes back and she's still in the cave, just I guess kind of delirious, and she's reaching out, and one of the monsters is creeping up to her and reaching out towards her.
That
It's bleak.
horrible.
What can I say? We like dark, bleak things in Britain. It mirrors our weather.
Ooh.
It's because you guys are raised on Watership Down. Don't lie.
We're dark, depressing people. What can I say?
Yeah.
I also, as
It's
a
just
comedy
really about
bit,
money.
kept thinking of the little vampire that goes over the credits from Buffy. Grr.
Right.
Arr.
Oh, I did see it like that at first. That was how I saw them at first. And then they started to mutate when I started to realize, I was like, maybe they're, wait a second. Hold on. When I started to realize, like, oh, nothing is canonical here. Nothing is following what they should be doing. Hold on. What are these?
You know, it would be fun if we just take all the scariest vampires and we interpret them as not scary, but the vampires from the Littlest Vampire. I think that would be hilarious. Suddenly,
Whereas
Oh my God.
Nandor from What We Do in the Shadows, just
Right.
give all of them that accent.
Did you read my mind about the Littlest Vampire? Because I was literally thinking about it while Kate.
it's still not on Disney Plus, and
I have it on
Just-
VHS. Just need a VHS
Physical
player.
media. Physical media till we die.
right.
Laura, okay. Laura, as the Muppet casting department, you should
Make the
go
post.
through the Muppets, okay,
Yeah.
and label each one as an iconic vampire.
Ooh.
Like, what vampire would Gonzo be? What vampire would Fozzie Bear be? What
I think Miss
vampire?
Piggy would be Sigourney Weaver and Vamps.
You can't keep
I
bringing this
feel
up.
like this is
You
important.
You can't keep bringing up this, or else I will
Yes, I
only
can.
talk about vamps.
I feel like this is
I
very
will put
important.
out everything about Vampires of El Norte and dump it out of my brain and just spew vamp stuff.
Okay, look, it was either Sigourney Weaver in Vamps or Lucy Westenra in the Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I need to
movie
watch
with
that
Winona
one.
Ryder.
It would be whoever could get their tits high enough up,
Yeah.
as high up as they go.
So Camilla.
Absolutely. Piggy would be, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
The biggest
next
diva.
question.
Yeah.
The importance of other cultures and races, folklores, and stories, and the dangers that come with them being shared to outsiders.
Ooh, who did that question?
You did, dummy.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I did that one the other day in the kitchen with you on the phone, didn't I?
Yes. I'm sitting here and I'm
I was
like,
like, I didn't do this back to back.
I know this is you because it is a run-on sentence and it takes
What a call.
priority of races and folklore and just the way it's structured. I'm like, this is my sister's brain.
I was like, wow, that feels like a very Laura question. I
Nope.
must have channeled
Yeah,
you.
that does too.
I was like, Laura, did you add another one? I must have borrowed your brain cell.
Believe it or not, you're actually smart.
I was gonna say that I think like the dangers of it could be that like it would be bastardized by, you know, like appropriation type thing. But also I feel like it's so important to learn about, for me personally, like, and a lot of readers feel this way, like we want to know what other people experience because we can't experience it, and we want to empathize with what they're going through, what their experience is like in the present, and the systemic reasoning behind what led to present day racism and discrimination, appropriation, all of these things,
The
that,
exploitation.
yes, that like white colonialism has brought about. Like we want to read about how it got there. So but I could see why people from that culture would want to hold tight to their culture and see it as dangerous sharing it and stuff. So like, you know, both sides of it are definitely.
You bring up a wonderful point. And I want to like expand this a little bit further because throughout reading this book, a lot of the time my brain, because if you don't know, if you don't live in Texas, and if you were not a child in the Texas education public system, you don't know that you have to take at least 2 to 3 Texas education courses throughout your public school teaching in Texas. I had to do it, I think, in like 7th grade. I had to do one in high school and I think one for college as well. So like 3 different classes all about Texas history in different forms and stuff like that. And I would distinctly remember being shown not only the text from the textbook and being like, this seems a little weird. I'm not on the side of the colonizer. This is honestly horrific. But also, when we were shown certain movies, I think it might have been North and South, but don't quote me on that. There was a particular movie we saw during, I think, my 7th grade Texas history course that romanticized the colonization and annexation of Texas and having marriages and families with Mexicans and stuff like that. It romanticized it. It didn't actually discuss anything beyond the white scope of that situation. And I always felt really bothered by it. And so reading Vampires of El Norte, I got to finally see the side that honestly made more sense to me and made me question, why aren't we being shown this? Why are we only seeing one biased view? So I'm really thankful to have read this because it's exactly what I've been dealing with since 7th grade.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that too, because also some people, you know, kind of struggle with nonfiction learning, you know, like that could be, and so like having like real history be at the, you know, even in a metaphor it works, but like this really brought in like the real history of the facts of colonialism and like how the border moved, like these indigenous Mexican people, this was their land, you know, like where I'm at right now. And, you know, you can see it in the landscape and everything. So yeah, I think that some people just have trouble with nonfiction. So books like this help us, you know, learn about the past of the land that we are on and living on.
I think with the importance of folklore and passing on stories within the book is that you learn from her saying like that the vaqueros, like it's a very oral community, like that's how they get their news, that's how they pass along their stories. And it can also be, you know, like the monsters are spoken about fairly vaguely because maybe, you know, everyone gets news from everywhere and it's always probably changed a little bit.
A game of telephone.
Yeah, I think that goes with the type of stories being told too, like especially that quote that Kaylee said about the, you know, like, oh, they don't have monsters in Guadalajara, like I come here, I see this. It very much feels like a, yeah, I mean, it's ultimately, it is a, you know, capital W Western. So
Absolutely.
it's that cowboy culture that exists.
Yeah.
In all the.
And I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot in this book that I was like, yeah, I'm not into that. No, I'm not into that. No, I'm not into that. I was very surprisingly into that. And what made me into that was the historical angle. It was so beautifully threaded the same way I absolutely loved Mexican Gothic, that I was so hungry for more when it ended, and I was like, no. But it was this. Like by the end of it, I was so rooting for not just like Nestor and Nena, but you're rooting for, and I hate calling them the monsters, but you're rooting for the natives. You're rooting for let's be real, that they're not monsters, they're native. They're the of the lands. They're the other. They're the people you don't know. They're the barbar. They're, it's, oh God, it was so just gorgeous. Then by the end of it, I was like,
I might have to watch some westerns.
right.
Why? Yeah, same, Claudia. I'm not usually a big Western person. Like, I'll watch a couple. Like, Coen Brothers throw out a Western. All right, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
It's probably good. But I did really enjoy this. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I like horror romance Westerns.
Yeah, so niche.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing how you like
thank you,
perspectives.
Claudia.
It's one thing I really love about her books. It's what I adored in the Hacienda. Is I just also felt like I learned so much, and I was so excited to, like, if a word popped up I didn't know, I was like, oh, what's that? I want to know. Like, I'm really excited to know. And I think it takes a very skilled author to blend that into their work and make people excited and truly interested and invested in a topic.
I definitely think that is something too, that because I am a Texas transplant, that is something so it's something I appreciate a lot. A lot is because I know the history books that, like Mackenzie was saying, is I moved here in 7th grade, and the year I moved here, I was forced to learn Texas history. I was very against it. And it wasn't that I was like, ugh, Texas. It was that I was this Jersey girl who spent like, we lived with our grandfather for a little bit in Tennessee, but I knew Tennessee because I spent my summers there. But then I was forced to uproot my life again and move here, and I have ADHD. And so it was just like, oh, you're telling me to do something? No, I'm not going to do that thing. Thanks, though. Defiance disorder. And I know that now as an adult, I know those, like, the information in those books is swayed very heavily, right? History is written by
the victors,
the oppressors. Yeah.
Conquerors.
And right. And getting to read books about the land I'm living in from the perspectives, families and cultures of those that like live here and have lived here, and like the families and the stories and like the myths and the folk like legends and stuff that come with it is so gorgeously palatable and just amazing that Kenzie's working on something. I was like, something changed. And all of our ADHD was like, da, da, da.
I'm sorry, I was clearing the slides. I was clearing the slides because, again, there's only 10 slides you can have in the rotation at a time. So I was clearing them. So sorry. Did not mean to do
but
that.
getting to learn the history, right? Like TH, like capital TH, in such empathetic ways, I think. You just can't, like, how can you replace that, right?
Right?
Like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then, like, of course, getting to, like, sit down and listen, because, you know, that's the thing, too. You have to do your history. You have to do your own research, too, right? Like, it's one part, two part, right? Because you can't just read, like, a fiction book and be like, this is the law. No, you have to, like, be like, well, they had to do research, didn't they?
Yep.
And you do your own to combine with it, right?
Surprise. Little did you know this is answering the question that we're apparently currently on.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ashley said, I really liked the nonfiction book Forget the Alamo about Texas history revisionism.
I love that.
I have to look into that.
Has anyone since we're all been in Texas, did y'all go visit the Alamo? Like, was that a regular thing?
Kaylee and I were forced to.
I saw it so every time we would go, because we would go after Astroworld closed down. I don't know if any of y'all were here for Astroworld, but oh my god, it was amazing. So
I think
after
we moved here the year after it closed.
After it closed down, we would drive to San Antonio for the Fiesta Texas, Six Flags. So every time we go there, we would hit up the Alamo and like Ripley's Believe It or Not and stuff like that. So I definitely like that Alamo shit. I don't know. Our parents loved it, like Davy Crockett, get the raccoon hat and shit like that.
Yeah, it's
I definitely
real weird the nut that our
book.
parents get off with like war history. I'm like,
right.
Oh, especially.
All right, champ.
I mean, my family's been in Texas for a couple generations. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, my family owned land over in the," but shut the hell up.
You're like, okay.
Fourth grade.
Weird. I've been so many times.
Yeah.
And he says, I've been so many times. I remember going in fourth grade and giving my parents a whole tour, since that was one of the Texas history years. I
know the kid that's in the Texas history class. They would be the one talking about it. They would be.
That's like
in your family. All right, who's taking Texas history? Give us the tour. Because at some point, a cousin or someone, since you have to take it so damn much, somebody that's on the family vacation.
Yep. They like really hone it in. I'm not kidding. Like they get you in elementary, they get you in middle school, and they get you in high school and college. That's like 4 opportunities to go, hey, this is our history. Our history.
Yeah.
It is interesting. You know, I spent a lot of time thinking about this because my husband shits on me a lot because I'm like, I grew up in the colonies because I grew up in New Jersey. And he's like, oh, yeah, the colonies in the new millennia. I'm like, shut up, Sean. And so, but it's...
You have to call them overseas territories now?
Oh.
Sure.
I thought we were still settlements.
Whatever. Your queen died.
When I read it, I was like,
your country hails a cheater.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
Anyway, we are losing our minds. No, timer's not off yet, baby. It's fine. Keep going.
I lived in Japan for about 2 years, and you drive on the opposite side of the road, and your driver's seat is on the opposite side of the car than it is here. And I literally had, I'm in the colonies moment. Literally yesterday when I was leaving my job because I tried to get in to drive on the wrong side of the car for America. And I had a full moment of like arrested development. We're in the colonies.
Oh, right. My thought. I was like, I forgot because my kid came in. But I always think it's like weird that like Texas history always like indoctrinates people. But then I think about it and I'm like, but like we really, really hit hard like the 13 colony history.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems less weird because it's like it's more acceptable, right?
Well, because like when you
But, like,
grow up in it, it's just like because like
right,
Kinsey said, we started in elementary school, and that was in the 90s for me, and so like it literally like even kind of now I'm like, oh yeah, that is weird, even though like I've had that thought before, but I don't, like so many people will think that that's such a weird thing, but I don't know anything else besides taking Texas history 3 times to graduate high
right,
school.
right. And then it's like the second, if somebody in Texas were to go up into like the northern states and then all of a sudden was like, oh, now like it's a little less weird because you are taught colonial history, just like not as
It's not so
heavily.
localized to one
Yeah,
specific place that
yeah,
I think that's why I hated Texas for years after being made to move there at like 9 years old, from New Jersey to Tennessee to Texas, because Kaylee can vouch for years. I literally detested being in Texas. It was hot all the time. Texans who were born and raised and native were the most annoying people you could ever meet.
we very much, like Nena, did not want to leave our land.
No, we did
We
not.
were very happy where we were.
Yes, we were.
Climate did not want to kill us.
I do love Texas, but there's pockets of it. There's you grow up and you realize you belong more in Austin than
Right.
a small town.
Mhm.
You don't belong in Paris, Texas. You belong in Austin, Texas.
And it was really funny because, like, relatively recently, I was on the phone with our dad, and I had said something along the lines of what I really meant was like, I miss home. But I said I miss Texas because where I live now, people are worse than Texans. Okay, it is.
But you meant it in like the
mind-boggling.
bowling for soup way.
Yeah, I meant it in a bowling for soup way, through and through. And my dad like does a double take over the phone. He's like, "You hate Texas." What are you talking about?
Well, I guess now, since we've been talking about this, you can kind of probably get a feel for how we feel about the book and what, might be for us. But has the discussion changed anything for you guys in the comments or even us here? Maybe, it brought something else to light.
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned stuff from other people's perspectives and things, as I always do with our discussions. I mean, it was a 5 for me, so it couldn't really get much higher. I love this book.
Yeah, me and Laura.
I do get some criticism of it, though, especially where it comes to the, like, regarding our first question about horror. Would I recommend it to someone I know who really only reads horror?
Nope.
Depending on the person, I might, but it would be with several caveats so that they knew what they were getting into.
I have to say that's why I was a little nervous about this pick this month, especially for Kaylee and Tiny Son, because I know like these are the horror girlies, and me and Laura do a little romance dance with the. So I was pretty nervous about it, but I felt like the twist, the way that things unravel outside of the romance, I was like, okay, I have confidence that they will enjoy this. Maybe the romance would be a turnoff, but maybe there's something outside of it that they can get. And I feel like probably from the discussion too, Ashley, I believe you gave it a lower rating because of the romance. And I think that is completely valid. Yeah.
I love Ashley. I don't think it's a horror book. I love Ashley. Bless her.
And that is why I recommended this. Yeah, absolutely, Ashley. I love you. And I think I understand completely why it would not be for a lot of people. And I was kind of scared because this is a horror book club, but I kind of felt February, romance, Valentine's Day, throwing this one out there. And like I was scared, but 4 and 4.25, That's great, because I feel like even if you're not a romance person, you can enjoy this. But if you are a romance person, you could enjoy this.
This was a lot like how romance is portrayed in YA or fantasy. Because I'm not a Sarah J. Maas person. I'm not into like romance and smut. I'm just like into romance in its purest form. So this was a nice thing for me because it was very reminiscent of like Neil Gaiman's Stardust or, you know, like Vampire Kisses. It's not anything more and it's not anything less. And I want to say my rating is only a 4 because, again, at the beginning of this, I said I listened to the audiobook. I remember certain things, but there's certain things I feel like I did not just remember the way that I wish I had did. So I could talk more and about certain things that I want to discuss about this book. I just can't remember them. I know that I really, really enjoyed it. I had a really great time. I was very invested in these characters. I loved these characters. I loved the history and everything about it. But because of my own fault of not being able to remember certain things, and I purely blame this on doing graphics one day and just having it go, that's the only time I can't remember certain things of audiobooks is if I'm listening to an audiobook while I'm doing Canva.
Understandable.
So that's me. That's a personal flaw. So if I could remember, it would definitely be a 5.
There was a lot that I liked. I liked a lot of it. There was some I loved and loved very much. I did not love all of it. The things that were done well, as y'all have saw my excitement throughout the conversation, was done very well. There were still things that left me wanting more. It hit a lot of good points. It did good. Anything above a 4 is always good territory for me. It is always like solid ground. I will recommend it. I'm like, no, that slaps. That's a good book. Solid book. Good adventure. We're gonna have a good time. It does not live rent-free in my head. The romance, here's the thing. I am not a romance girly. That is important to know. I am not a romance girly. I do enjoy romance. It is very important to understand that romance and sex are different. Yeah, they're different monsters. They are different monsters, and not everybody's kink is the same. And not everybody can write good.
I'm sorry. Write well.
I said what I said.
I think the also like, because like when it comes to like fantasy romances or something, like you have something other besides the romance that is really driving the plot.
Right. And that's I like plot with my romance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I want a plot. I need a plot. I don't
Sometimes I don't even need a plot. I just need characters.
Yep.
Like that, there's a plot hole and it doesn't make. I'm a Pretty Little Liars girly. More plot holes, fine.
Sometimes
that's
we just want drama.
You know what? That's fine. I learned things about myself while I was reading Vampires of El Norte, because I also was reading Ice Planet Barbarians, because this is going to take a wild turn for a second. I was also I was like, let's figure things out about myself. From the Mayfly girl, okay? Everybody's about to have a wild ride. Yeah, Mayfly, by the way, for people who are like, what do you mean she doesn't like girl? Mayfly is a 5 for me. If I could give it more than 5 stars on any platform, like if Storyograph would let me use my extra like little notches to go beyond 5, it would be. That is where I'm standing on that. Okay, so I was like, let me read Vampires of El Norte and Ice Planet Barbarians. Your girl has to have logic, and your girl has to have a plot that makes enough sense.
Oh no, Ice Planet Barbarians is not for logic.
No, it is not. Anytime my brain, because clearly, as y'all can see, my brain has been trained through whoever I conned into handing me one of those little degree things. It's been trained, which you don't think happens, but it does. It really does.
That has nothing to do with it. Mine has also been trained, and I
Igor
can
from
enjoy it just fine.
And now I'm gonna have to read Ice Planet Barbarians.
Oh,
do it.
Here's the deal. And I will tell everybody who does this, because I already messaged her and I was like, no notes. She was like, I will accept this. If you read Ice Planet Barbarians, the lead girl, Georgie, I can only see her as Sarah Bunsey of Sarah Bunsey's book club.
Oh God, no.
And when you find out all of the information about her, like in the book, and then you, like, anybody who follows Bunsey Book Club, you're like, oh my God, they're the same person. But anytime you start applying logic, like, I will start trying to apply like literary analysis, just my brain will do it, and I have to stop and close the book and leave. Like, I'm like, this is not fun anymore. I gotta go. I gotta leave. It's not.
That's all they are.
I'm sitting at like, I'm sitting at like 65% right now, because there's a point that I'm at, and I'm like, I can't unlogic myself.
Message me and tell me what it is after this. I've read like 8 of them.
Oh my
so
God.
dumb and really enjoyable. Like, if
they
it's like enjoying that extra junky junk food you very occasionally have, and you're like, this is so bad, but it's so good.
They are their own beast for sure. They are honestly fun.
Yeah, might be my vibe.
Also, we're gonna have to wrap this up soon, because my husband and I need to eat dinner, and I'm not feeling good, so I had to have him bring me some fruit snacks because I'm feeling a little dizzy. That's on me.
Let's talk about what we're gonna be reading next month.
Yeah. Yes,
because we're gonna be reading Carmilla by
Joseph Sheridan LaFanu.
Yes, by Joseph Sheridan. Oh, I love your copy, Laura. Oh my gosh.
I have the other one.
There are very
the other one with the tit bust.
There are very many copies, like special edition stuff you can buy. This is a very classic old book. It predates Dracula. It's a vampire story. And
I'm gonna grab one
there
more.
it's also free. Kinsey posted the link, I think, in Discord or something, where you can read. You can read Carmilla for free. So join us on that. It's gonna be so much fun discussing this book, because like we have like Vampires of El Norte is like the little crumbs, and then now we're gonna like backtrack the historical, like this real history.
We have to pay our respects.
The goddess, the OG, the Carmilla. And so we will post the dates for all of that at the end of February. Kinsey rocks it out with the calendar. And we'll have details on when the discussion is, and we might watch Vamps, which is free. We might watch it. We don't know. But if we do a movie night, we might watch Vamps and do it here or Discord or whatever. But I'm really excited to discuss this book, because I have been needing to read it.
This version, which is the version that Kaylee was like, no, this is the version we're going to read. And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter, but all right. This version
doesn't matter which version.
This version has footnotes in it. If that is something that you don't want, I highly recommend Laura's version. But if you are a nerd, an academic, a scholar like myself, and you like your footnotes.
You like pretty pictures. Or titties. If you like titties, that one has a bust with a left tit out.
And it has a foreword by Carmen Marie Machado as well, which I think is really great. I don't know about the free version, but y'all check out that link if you
the free version does not have footnotes, and I don't think it has an introduction because that's the one that I used to try and use all the time. And you can ebooks from Project Gutenberg, which is the source. You can put it on your Kindle.
I think there are audio versions on LibriVox.
Okay.
Which is like, generally you find like professors and stuff reading classics that are free.
Oh.
Fun fact, one of Kaylee and I's professors reads a whole bunch of stuff on there. Actually, did you ever take CLET?
It also, there's a lot of...
She's your professor.
There's a lot of audiobook options on Scribd, a bunch of different options. So, you could find a different narrator that you might enjoy.
I resent the implication that because of the copy I own, I am not academic or I don't like titties.
No.
I like both those things.
That's like you have a version of Little Woman, but I have the version with footnotes. That's the divide.
You're buying too much.
Are you obsessive? Or are you just like chill and can make this your entire personality?
I love both of them so much. Like I literally still have not bought it. I don't know which version I want.
What sweetened the deal for me was when Kaylee's version came in. She was like, "There's illustrations." I'm like, "Sold, perfect."
Well, and then I'm double checking real quick before I open my mouth and say my statement.
Because I don't think anyone knows, I am obsessed with Carmilla and have been since like at least 2015. And I was very picky about what version I wanted to get. So when Kaylee got it and was like, it has this, it's like, okay.
That's the version that my Barnes & Noble has. I don't think it has the special, or my Barnes & Noble doesn't, but yours might. Check it out. But yeah.
I love that they announced the final ballot, but it's not showing up. So don't want to say that it is if it's not gonna freaking link. If it's being a spicy noodle. Okay, that's all 2022. I don't want 2022. I want 2023, but it's being a spicy noodle. So I'm gonna ignore that. And I will say what I was originally going to say. Okay. So the other book is that we're also kind of like we are strongly encouraging to read with Carmilla is
Amy Chu and Sue Lee.
Thank you. I saw it backwards and it was like, I don't know how to read. Amy Chu and Sue Lee's Carmilla's graphic novel. It is very short. I have already read it. It is also gorgeous.
It's also available on Libby.
Mm-hmm.
It is also available on Libby. It is also very
Did you get it,
fun.
Kinsey? On
Yes.
Libby?
Yes.
Probably right after I returned it. I didn't read it. I just returned it because I was like,
I think I got it before you did, believe it or not. I'm actually tomorrow probably going to sit down and read it and then return it so it's available for someone else.
Awesome.
It is very short. It is very fun. It is also... I need to check and see if it made it to the final ballot, but it was on the preliminary ballot for the Bram Stoker Awards for this year in Superior Achievement in a Graphic Novel. So
I love it.
And it's also a really neat modern take. It's a really neat modern and it's a very beautiful take on the Carmilla legend. I say legend on the Carmilla story with
I think also Carmilla, the book it's very short and very quick. So this is something like if you read it and you're like, I want more, go for this graphic novel. Lauren at Happy Haunts Library was reading Carmilla and then got obsessed and read the graphic novel. And like, because I feel like that's going to be my reaction is I'm going to read the book and be like, I need more.
Yes. And this does it through an Asian American lens. And so it puts it with some really cool cultural stories on top of it as well. There's some really cool cultural layering on top of it too, on top of the Carmilla story, which is
okay, Vampires of El
freaking
Norte.
cool. Oh, dude, this was really cool. I haven't read Carmilla yet, but I read this. So
yeah, I want to read Education and Malice. That's one I've had on my TBR.
Well, we almost read Dowry, didn't we?
Yeah.
We almost read Dowry of Blood and Education and Malice. Aren't they companions, not exactly sequels? Or am I misremembering?
I don't remember. My head is really hot and I am feeling woozy because I really need to eat real food soon. So do not ask me any information other than what I'm absolutely certain in. I'm so sorry.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess we'll wrap things up here, but it's been so great talking to y'all about Vampires of El Norte, and pick up your copy of Camilla from the library or Barnes & Noble. Check out Everend, and there's lots of audiobook options and the Geffen Library, all of those places. So we will be back here next month. Oh, we will be here. We will be back here next month to discuss Carmilla.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I am so excited. Oh, and if anyone wants to watch the Carmilla web series with me, hit me up. I'll make a Discord channel.
Also,
great.
Also, just a reminder, we will be doing reading sprints for the coming month. We are trying to do because we saw on the poll, we will be trying to do one. We're going to try to do 2 a month. We're going to try to do 1 during the week and then 1 on a weekend. So that way we can kind of like help everybody out. So, yeah.
And if anyone has any feedback for us or suggestions, even on future picks or anything like that, please, we like to talk to people. So
this is not just
literally sitting there waiting for your message, like.
Yeah, go check out the Discord. That's where you can leave as much feedback and talk about any books that you're interested in reading with the group. Because
or just what you're reading currently and need to talk to other book people.
I know, just general books.
You're around.
Mayfly, stuff like that. Hop in the Discord and talk about it because we're here to discuss with y'all.
Definitely.
And real quick before we end this, I just want to like highlight the movies that we paired this with. We're not going to read the description, but like this is the pick that we chose to do. You know, the vibe is there. The vibe is there. And
all they did was bully him.
Our mom watched it.
To quote our mother.
And our mom was like, your movie sucked. All they did was bully him. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Mom.
Not wrong.
I'm so sorry. And 1996, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. The vibe's immaculate for both of them.
Class
you can definitely see why. Exactly. But also, our mom showed up for us and no one else did for movie night, and I am sad. But our mom,
that's right. This is a public shaming.
Though to be fair, we ran into some technical issues. So even if anyone showed up, we were not showing the movie because technical issues.
We would have watched one. I want you all to know we would have watched one.
We would have watched something else.
Yep.
But nobody showed up. So.
But I bring this up because we really would appreciate and need and require feedback so we can figure out what works best for everyone.
Because we're not gonna keep suggesting movies like this if y'all don't want to watch movies like this. If y'all have suggestions, we want to do things with y'all.
And if you want to suggest a book for monthly voting, feel free to do that as well, because you may bring something to the table that none of us had ever heard of or considered before. And we want that community engagement with you all.
Really, we're just asking you all to be our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And share.
We're nice.
Because we only have like limited knowledge of books that
Yeah.
like can go along with, you know, whatever we're thinking about, like folklore in March, romance in February. Like there's only so much. And then, you know, once these holiday months sort of end, we kind of just need like your general thoughts on what kind of horror books you guys want to be reading.
And speaking of that, Jess, do you want to tell them the theme for April?
I don't remember.
Alien
I
April.
kind of.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. that's
Alien
right.
April. That's right, because we wanted to do Mars Attacks.
Yes.
I was not a part of this discussion, apparently.
So we're
I have
definitely going to
no-
be watching Mars Attacks for April. We did it in
It might
reverse
be
to
a bonus
see.
movie if you guys need to suggest anything else, but we definitely want to watch Mars Attacks.
Yes. That's going to be like how in October we watched Teen Wolf and Watership Down. Sometimes we'll just do a feature just for fun.
We'll throw it in as a
I like
bonus.
the fun movies.
We'll do a Shiggles. We'll do a Shiggles movie, because sometimes we'll actually like reach out to the authors, and I'll be like, because I have no shame, I'll be like, hey,
I don't trust them anymore.
Paul did you guys dirty.
Paul Tremblay.
Paul
hurt
Tremblay,
us
if you
real
ever see
bad.
this, I want you to know that I tried to dissuade them from watching Watership Down as you suggested.
Oh,
You
also,
traumatized these girls.
I just wanted to say The God of Endings is another vampire book that never really mentions the word vampire. It just says like immortal being, but it's lit fic. So it's not a horror at all. This is so lit ficky, but that's kind of why I want to recommend it with vampires. There is no romance. It is purely just this woman's story and her being an immortal being. It never says vampire, but honestly, like this one I think pairs with vampires very well. And that's all I have to say, because I read this and vampires at the same time for my vampires reading vlog, and it was kind of fun having two books that like they're not really about vampires, but they are.
Right?
Very
Alrighty, had so much fun with y'all. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kaylee.
I was saying it sounds very Only Lovers Left Alive. Like,
Ooh.
Let me Google.
Do we have any other final regards this time?
Go
Calendar should
pre-order.
be up on March 1st, which is Friday. And book voting will open Saturday. So look forward to that on Instagram and Discord.
I think we're out of goodbyes.
Goodbye.
I think this is a
Goodbye. Only lovers left alive. Okay, I'm Googling that now, Laura.
How do we end?
Thank
I'm
you.
ending the
Like-
stream. Bye, guys.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen. Good
Adieu.
day.
We'll figure it out eventually.